You've been a champion of critical thinking. My uncle, when my aunt Jackie met my uncle, John Kennedy, he was a senator and a confirmed bachelor, and she was a reporter, a journalist, and she did this kind of man on the street interviews with people, these kind of quick kind of interview, and she asked him what his best quality was. And she expected him to say courage because he'd been a war hero and he had written a book and won a Pulitzer Prize for profiles in courage. But the answer that he gave her was curiosity. And I think that is the quality that made him a great president, because he was able to put himself in other people's shoes. He had a level of empathy about other humans where he was always thinking about what it would be like. Why would people do things that and act in certain ways, including Khrushchev and Castro. And when he had conversations and exchanges with those people, he was able to put himself in their shoes. And actually, his most important speech was the speech he gave 60 years ago, 3 days ago. It was the 60th of June 10th of 1963. And it was the speech at American University about trying to persuade Americans to change their minds, because they were universally against the nuclear atmospheric test ban treaty that he was trying to push. And that speech turned the country around. It was one of the most important, impactful speeches in history. And in that speech, he told Americans what it was like to be Russian. It was the strangest speech. And, because I was raised, and most Americans of that era were raised thinking that we won World War II. And he said to them, we believe this. I was watching Combat Vic Morrow with Combat, every week with my brothers. It was all about how the Americans won. And he said, that's not what happened. The Russians won the war, and they paid in a way that no nation should ever have to pay. 1 in every 7 Russians died, at Hitler's hands. And 1/3 of the Russian, he said, imagine if America, every city and every building was leveled from the East Coast to Chicago. That's what happened to Russia. And he was telling Americans, they're not evil. They're having a rational reaction when they develop a nuclear bomb. They don't want to be invaded again. And we have to somehow make them feel safe if we're going to have peace in this world. It was just a beautiful, beautiful speech. And it came, I think, because he had that gift of curiosity. And, you have that. And I think, and you have this love for critical thinking and this admiration. You have this parade of people on here, like the Weinsteins and all these other people who are thinking out of the box and who are not subsumed in orthodoxies, but are able to break away from those orthodoxies and have come in and see the humanity in everybody and everything, and it's beautiful. So I think when the history of this time is written, that you will have the role that you played in it, and if we manage to get our way out of this kind of totalitarian trajectory, I think a lot of that will be, because of what you did.